Hello everyone, it is me, Malaysia. So, I took a week-long trip to London, and for one of those days, I did go to Paris for a day. And if any of you know geography, you know that there's water in between the UK and France. So, there's a train that goes underground. It is a 2-hour ride, and I was a bit nervous because I don't know, I'm just weird about spaces. If a space seems like uncomfortable or weird to me, then I won't surround myself in that space. So, um, the train goes underground. I thought, I don't know, my mind is just like, I don't know. I thought that you would see water around you, and I don't know. I didn't. Apparently, you go like really underground, like below the water, I think, and you won't see any water. But luckily, like once I got on the train, I was just like really tired that I didn't even like stay awake for that part. So the only times I was awake was when you're driving through or outside of London, and then I woke up like once we got to Paris, like right outside. Um, Another thing, when you're traveling outside of the country, you can like upload like your passport information online to the US government website, and you can let them know like where you're going, your itinerary, and what it does is it tells you like advisories for that country and what to look out for. And Paris was a level 2. I looked at London. London was a level 2 as well, but I was kind of nervous about going to Paris. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I think a few weeks ago I read about some like attack, and like I don't know why I was, but there was an attack like a few weeks ago, I believe. I don't know. But the only thing that was going on there was a protest about living, or the cost of living, and then another protest about workers. And we had those here in the US all the time. If anything, I mean, the US is probably the same, maybe a little bit more, only because we have the threat of domestic terrorism, people shooting in public places. So, yeah, I felt a little bit weird about like vlogging in person because people just kept looking at me, and I'm like, why are you looking at me? I didn't say that, but like whenever someone was staring at me, you just give them the like, what are you looking at? So that was me for part of the trip. And I mean, I'm kind of outspoken. If something bothers me, I'm gonna say something. So I just gave them a look. I didn't say anything. I don't know. So here's the vlog. I talked too much, but yeah. So on the train ride there, like leaving London and entering Paris, driving where you see like the outside of the city, it reminds me of I forget that movie, and it's like District 12. There was Prim, there was, oh, Hunger Games. Okay, it reminds me of Hunger Games, and like traveling, when they would travel between the different districts, that's what it kind of reminded me of. So yeah. A little backstory. I left out later than I should have. And my first Uber driver canceled on me. So I had to wait an extra few more minutes for my next Uber driver. And I forgot that I hit Uber Pool. So when I got in the car, I told my Uber driver, I'm like, hey, I'm running a few minutes behind. If you could just, you know, try to get me there pretty quickly. And he's like, well, you did hit Uber Pool. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I thought that he would have, you know, tried to get me there quicker. But one thing I noticed was that in certain areas, he would like, he drove really slow at first. Like if I said I have to be somewhere pretty soon, I would assume you would try to hurry up and get me there. But he started out driving really slow. And I was getting really antsy and getting like really annoyed. And I'm like, if I was not wearing a skirt, I would probably kick you in the neck right now. Like, you need to drive. So we were like probably like 5 minutes away from the train station. And that's when he like really stepped on it. And I'm like, where was this same energy like 15 minutes ago? But I literally probably had 2 minutes to spare because they closed the gate like 30 minutes prior to departure. So I would have been mad if I would not have made it on this train. And then as you can see, I'm like walking back and forth because the trains were out of order. I don't know why, they just were out of order. It went like 12, 14, 13. They skipped the number. So I was kind of annoyed that someone gave me the wrong directions. So I arrived in Paris, and there's this restaurant I went to. It was really cool. It was like a porridge place, but I got oatmeal. It had like pumpkin seeds and almond butter. I love almond butter. It is amazing. And then it had frozen berries on top, and it had honey. It was so good, and I got full like really fast. The people there were so nice. I think she saw me like reading the menu and like constantly in my phone looking things up because I don't speak French. Some things I can read and I can understand because it's like either really similar to English or some of it is like kind of similar to Spanish, and I took Spanish in high school. She saw me like doing that and she was like, would you like a menu in English? I'm like, that would be great, thank you. So I was able to order my food, and then I went to the restroom, and when I came out they were playing like trap music, and I'm like, why didn't you guys just play that before? Like, I would have definitely been, you know, with it. But there were other people in the restaurant prior to me going to the restaurant, so they were probably just trying to accommodate everyone. But yeah, the restaurant was really good. The Eiffel Tower was like really beautiful. It was kind of like intimidating seeing like such a huge monument in person. But it was really huge. I didn't go up close to it, very close to it. Another little fun fact, I kept sneezing like as soon as I got there. I don't know why, I don't know what was in the air, but I kept sneezing. And every time I sneezed, I felt my lace closure slowly detaching. And you can see that in the next video. So please ignore my detaching lace closure. My picture with the Mona Lisa, I was able to fix it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not putting the pre-picture up because it was like, no. So yeah. So we're at the Eiffel Tower. I've been sneezing, so excuse my lace front that it's showing and it's slowly detaching. But I didn't have enough time for the arc because I have to get to the train station really quickly. But I'm going to the Louvre, I don't know, museum so I can see the Mona Lisa and take a picture. And then there's another department store like Harrods that's here. And I'd rather see Mona Lisa in this department store than an arc. Here's an arc right here. So the architecture was like really, really nice. I don't want to be wrong when I say what their buildings were made out of. I don't know. But like in person, the buildings were like still very like, they're not white, but they were still like light and clear. And then like on top they had like gold fixtures up top, but they were like really, it was really nice. It was really beautiful. So the architecture was like really nice.
Sophie.
It took a while to find the Mona Lisa. Like she is like hidden deep in the museum. But I finally found her, and there were like people crowded. Like you would have thought it was Beyonce up front. Like I don't know, it's a museum, so I get it, but it's a museum and you're supposed to be quiet in a museum. So it was like people like, it was just a lot of noise and they just kept pointing their camera. You really would have thought Beyonce was right there and she would have responded to you. But yeah, it was nice being in front of the picture because I'm like a history buff. So like growing up, like you learn about the Mona Lisa and like its importance to art. So it was like really cool just like being right there. And I took a selfie with her. That's when I noticed that my lace was like completely detached. Someone behind me did take a picture. I really liked that this person put it in portrait mode, so the focus was on me and like she was in the background. I thought that was really cool. But the photo was edited so that my lace front, it blended. But after that picture, I simply just moved my hat forward and I covered the lace front. So everything was fine. I was no longer walking around looking crazy.
Давай я лучше.
Finally, I went to this high-end department store. It was really nice. It was like a lot of name brand stores and stands, and excuse me, as I said before, I was getting a lot of weird looks from people. Not like necessarily like creepy, but a sense of like I didn't belong there. And after going, I called my friend Steven, and I was telling him about the Paris trip, and he was telling me how like he's had mixed reviews about Paris. Some people loved it, and some people just didn't like it. Ade, he told me that the people there are weird, but I don't know. I think there's some rivalry between like Paris or people from Paris and like people in London. That's what the vibe I got from him, but I don't know. And then so I felt like a sense of like I didn't belong in the department store. But when I went to Harrods, like I knew I couldn't buy anything, but I still didn't feel like I didn't belong there. Like every stand and every store I went into, like people were welcoming. That's one thing about London. Like the people were really nice. I thought that they would kind of be mean, but they were like really nice. And then I know there's going to be a mixed amount of people everywhere, but like I was so used to like the nice people in London, and then I got back to the States last night and I'm like, I gotta deal with these people again. But anyway, that was kind of off topic. So I went into the department store, I walked around, kind of felt like I didn't belong. Also, I was like pressed for time. So I just walked around and then I eventually left. I eventually left, and yeah, that was my trip. I went to the train station. It took forever. Like, I didn't want to say anything right then and there because, like, I know that they take precaution because they just don't want anything to, like, happen. And I'm thankful for it. Like, even though I had to wait in lines, I couldn't even be mad because it's like they're making sure that we're safe. So it's like I made sure to not get annoyed. I made sure to like have a happy face because it's like you just don't want to play with your safety. But also some workers were on strike, so they were short staffed. But it just took forever. And then like I was there, I probably waited in one line for 1 hour. And once I got through the checkpoint, it was like our version of TSA. Once I got through, the train left in 4 minutes. So one of the train station employees was like, "So what train are you getting on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to London, the 404." Like the time 404. He was like, "Oh, well, it leaves in 4 minutes. You need to get going." So I ran for it because it's like I would know I would have made it in time, but the trains were out of order prior. So I'm like, I need to find my train, make sure like I'm on the right one. But I found it in time. It just made me wonder like, what about the people who probably didn't make it in time? Like, did they leave them? Do they have to reschedule? Which kind of sucks. And it's horrible to be honest. But I made it. I made it back in time. It was like a breath of fresh air being back in London because it was like familiar, and it was a place that I loved being. So it was really great. All right, so that is my very short Paris vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. I liked Paris. I liked the architecture. I feel like if I were to go back, I would probably go back as like a girls trip, or like my dream is to go to Fashion Week. I know I could easily go to LA or New York because they sell tickets for like the smaller brands. But to go to Paris Fashion Week, I think would be like really exciting and really fun, especially since I'm really interested in, the whole fashion and hair and makeup thing. So I think that would be like really fun and really interesting. But I think it was a cool experience. The people, I don't know, they weren't that embracive and like nice. I don't know. Like, some of the people were. Some people talked to me, took my pictures for me, which was really nice. But I just kept getting weird looks as if, I'm sorry, I just bit my tongue, as if like I didn't belong. And that was like kind of uncomfortable. But I feel like if I would have had to speak up for myself, I wouldn't have had a problem speaking up for myself. I feel like I just did that to death. Like, my neck was sore. And then also, I feel like when you travel, oh, another thing, I knew that like, even like, I had to just reassure myself that like, okay, when you're traveling, I was a bit nervous being in a country where I didn't speak the same language, but it's like, I'm sure they have a lot of tourists who speak English, so I wasn't like really that worried about it. But I also had to remember that even though I'm in another country, I'm not alone. There are embassies. If I ever needed help, like, I knew the address to the embassy. They knew that I was there. So I really wasn't that alone. So that's that. And then also, I feel like because I was kind of sleepy, I was kind of getting weird looks from people, which annoyed me. And when I'm annoyed, I really look annoyed. So I kind of just had this face where like, don't mess with me. Like, don't mess with me. I felt comfortable taking public transportation, so like I knew where I was going. And as long as you look like you know where you're going, you will be okay. Well, you're most likely to be okay. So I just kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, I had an attitude. I was tired. I was tired of people staring at me. And yeah, so that's about it. I feel like I just rambled on. Long story short, I would go back, not by myself. The only time I would go back was probably for Fashion Week, whenever I reached that milestone in my life. That's about it. I really enjoy London though, but you guys will get that vlog either tomorrow or early this week. But yeah, Paris was cool. I enjoyed it. I feel like I just want to sit here and talk. But I'm tired, if you guys can't tell. Like, I put on a little bit of makeup. My makeup routine was like something I will never do again, but I put on something to look presentable for you guys. My wig is not intact, so I have on this hat. And yeah. Oh, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I hope to see you guys again. If you have any questions or anything, please leave them down below. And I will see you next time for my London vlog.